Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of RC Printer. I'm your host Jordan Visco, and today we've got a special fun treat. We are going to be building the RCTestFlight SnowCat. We bought our kit from RCTestFlight back in January, I believe, and it's taken a little while for it to get here, but it's here now. We've been playing around with our tank a lot lately, so it seems like a great time to get on something just a little bit bigger. We've also already printed all the 3D printable components, so we'll go get those now and show you what it looks like. Here's the TPU roller wheels. We got 4 of those. These are the drive wheels. Got some gears. And a whole bunch of structural components. Here's our box from RCTestFlight. And inside we've got clear plastic covers, 2 big bags of injected molded plastic tracks, some gears, connectors, bearings, a giant whack of screws. These speed controllers here, which I've heard aren't working that great for people, so we might end up upgrading those, but that's what we have for now. 2 boxes of C4240 600 kV 5mm shaft brushless motors. There were 2 motor options. I believe there was a 300 kV and a 600 kV, but I opted for the faster one. Here's what they look like. Pretty awesome that they've got the RCTestFlight SnowCat logo on them. I'm guessing these are the axles. Yeah. And other than that, just a whole bunch of paper. So that's a lot of parts. I'm not totally certain how this thing's going to end up. I'm not planning to put a body on it. I'm hoping I can find a way to mount a battery to it and have it be able to drive upside down, but then also somehow be able to charge that battery and remove it fairly easily. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe someone's got some mods online for that. But we're just going to get started and hope we got everything we need. See how she goes. Alright, here we go. We're going to start off by putting in some of these heat set inserts. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got our ESCs hooked up. They're hooked up together here to this one 3S LiPo battery. I have them plugged into channel 1 and 2 in my receiver here, which is the aileron and elevator channel. Now these ESCs don't come with a BEC to power your receiver, so I just have a tiny little 2S LiPo battery here that I'm using to power the receiver at the moment. And what I'm finding is the same thing a lot of people have been finding with this model, and that's that these ESCs don't work without some programming. So here's what happens if you just plug them in. So you can see they kind of start and stop a bit and stutter, and even with no load on them, without having those giant tracks on here, I can barely get them to move. And here's the other channel. Right, so just barely moving. And with these motors and that battery, I should have more than enough power to make this spin. So in order to get this set up here to work as is, I gotta do a couple different things. Number one, I'm gonna have to add a BEC in there so that I can power my receiver. I have one of those on order, but it's not gonna be here for a little bit. And then I'm also gonna have to reprogram these ESCs with some of the settings Daniel has in the video. And a lot of people are actually also adding a capacitor to these speed controllers, and that's helping because a lot of times these are just burning out. So one of the most frequently recommended solutions is actually just to buy better speed controllers. So I have a couple of those on order as well, but again, it's going to be a couple of weeks. But that should solve it once those get here. So another option that I can do in the meantime is I have a bunch of these RC car speed controllers. They're only 30 amps, but they're brushless speed controllers, and I think they'll work quite well in here in the meantime, as long as I don't run like a 6S battery through it. If I just stay on a 3S LiPo, it should be fine. So we're going to install those and then see how it goes. Okay, so here's the setup that we're going to go with until we get our new speed controllers in. We're just going to run with one 3S LiPo battery. Our speed controllers here can power our receiver, so we have one of the power wires unhooked for the receiver there, so it doesn't get too much power. So I'd recommend doing that as well if you're going to be using speed controllers that have BECs. The power for the speed controllers is going to come through here, and I've installed a little hole in this grommet, and then we have a splitter down here so we can split the power to both the ESCs from one battery. So we'll go ahead and hook that up right now and show you how well it works. Alright, and now we'll try one, and we'll try the other one. Now we just got to set our mix up in our controller, and I think we're good to give it a test run. Alright, so here we have our mixes set up on our controller. I'll show you what they look like. Mix number 1 is for the turning. So we have our master is channel 1, which is our aileron channel here. So you can see when we turn to the right, the left wheel goes forward and the right wheel goes backwards. And then when we go to the left wheel goes forward and the right wheel goes backwards. And the way that we set that up is by having the master be channel 1 and then slaving channel 2 to it, and then setting the positive mix to negative 100 and the negative mix to negative 100. And then the next mix that we have, mix number 2, is we set master channel number 2, which is normally the elevator channel, and we have that set as the master. And then we have the aileron channel set as the slave, and we have positive mix set to 100 and negative mix set to 100. And what that does is make it drive forward and then also backwards, like so. So the last thing we have to do is assign some dual rates to make the turning a little easier. We don't want it to turn at 100% throttle, so we're gonna go to dual rates, and we're gonna set the dual rate for channel 1, which is the aileron channel, and we're gonna turn that down to, we're gonna start with 40%. We'll see how that goes. Hold cancel to save. And now it should be turning less aggressively. All right, let's get those tracks on and see how she runs. Here we go, moment of truth. It's alive! Alright, so that's about all we got time for this episode. One thing I did want to mention is, if you are going to use an RC car ESCs like I have done, definitely look into the programming, because I was able to switch the ESCs from being in the forward brake reverse mode into just a forward reverse mode, so we don't have the track just stopping when you switch directions. So I'd highly recommend that. And then also look into seeing if you can get your reverse power to be 100% just like your forward power. And with those little tweaks, it's running even better, so stick around for next time when we'll bring this guy outside and put it through its paces. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving us a like or subscribing to our channel. It really helps me out. And as always, if you're looking for cool ideas of 3D printed projects to build, kits, parts, or instructions on how to build them, check us out at rcprinter.com.